You're listening to Thunder and Lightning on SuperTalk Mississippi, covering Mississippi State sports like nobody else. With Sports Talk Mississippi's Brian Hadad and Robbie Faulk of On3 Sports. Now get ready for Thunder and Lightning.
This is Thunder and Lightning here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Brian Hadad and Robbie Faulk here with you on a Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us at supertalk.fm or wherever it is that you get podcasts from. We appreciate you guys out there, our great listeners, especially our servicemen and women out there taking care of us. I want to thank our sponsors over at Strange Brew Coffee House and Churn and Spoon Ice Cream. Start your day the right way with a trip to the drive-thru over at Strange Brew Coffee House here in Starkville or at Brupolo over in Tupelo. It'd be a little weird, Robbie, if Brupolo was in Buxton.
That would be a little weird. Brookston. Yes.
Okay, then. Wherever you are in our
we're in agreement.
Yes. Wherever you are in our great state, you can enjoy Strange Brew Coffee each and every morning. It is only a click away at strangebrewcoffeehouse.com. The Mississippi Beef Council wants to remind you that beef, it is what's for dinner. Whenever you're cooking out, nothing beats the sizzle of beef on the grill. Whatever you are cooking out, if you are having a cookout, if you don't have some beef on the menu, your guests are going to look at you funny. They're going to be like, it was okay. It's pretty good. Not as good as it could have been. Go and grill a steak for your guests the next time you are having folks over to cook out. They will thank you for it. Beef, it's what's for dinner. Thanks you to our friends at the Mississippi Beef Council. College Corner, collegecornerstore.com. That's the place to find the maroon and white merchandise that you're looking for. You are looking for it. We've been talking about these new branded Bills hats. They are available at College Corner. That is the hot hat right now. A rope hat with the embossed logo on there, the state script, available in maroon or white. They look fantastic. That's what all the kids are wearing these days. So if you're like me and you desperately want to hang on to your youth and try to look like you're still hip and with it, however that goes, we need to get you one of these hats.
We've given up on trying to be hip.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So
we are what we are.
But if you aren't, go get you one of these great new hats from College Corner. 2 locations in the Jackson area. Ridgeland by Fleet Feet, Flowwood by the Half Shiller. You can shop online, collegecornerstore.com. Restaurant Tyler, Starkville's flagship restaurant for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch. The best meal in town is at Restaurant Tyler. We love Restaurant Tyler here on Thunder and Lightning. It is one of our favorite places to go. And one of the things we love about it is the consistency. It's just a place that when you walk in the door, you know you're going to get a great meal. You don't have to worry about it. You don't like, who's cooking today? Or something. You don't have to do that. Not at Restaurant Tyler. So if you want to enjoy the best lunch, in my opinion, in this city, I love a blue plate. There's not a better one than the one at Restaurant Tyler. Go there today. Get a great lunch at Restaurant Tyler. Priority One Bank has 16 locations throughout Central Mississippi. So that means if you live in Central Mississippi, you live near a Priority One Bank. Priority One Bank is a bank that gives you great service while also offering you all of the financial freedom and flexibility that the big corporate banks are going to offer you. The difference is this. When you have questions about your money, you get them answered on your schedule. You're not having to wait around. You're not having to deal with people who don't know you. You have that community bank feel. The people you live with and work with, they're at Priority One Bank, and they want to provide a great service to you. So give them a chance if you haven't already. Let Priority One Bank make you their priority. Tuesday is a big day for Mississippi State, just as it was a week ago. Do you think about it a week ago? Mississippi State playing a game against Southern Mississippi in baseball. Southern was unranked at the time, but they should have been ranked, and now they are. By the way, all 3 teams in the state of Mississippi ranked. Ole Miss has jumped into the poll as well. And the state, of course, is getting ready for a top 10 showdown with Texas A&M. Got the win in basketball, did not get the win in baseball. I think this week might be different. I think this might be a win in baseball, don't win in basketball kind of week. So let's start with baseball.
The science.
Again, we know it's not going to be both, but I think it's going to be baseball getting the win this week when they take on Troy. Now, this is a Troy team. They've got mashers. We've talked about that. This is a team that hits a lot of home runs, led by former Bulldog Shane Lewis, a Vicksburg boy, a guy who hit 27 bombs a season ago.
It hadn't been just tearing the cover off the ball. His batting average is down the list, but I think he's tied for the team lead in homers. He has 3. So, and you know he's going to be wanting to get one in this game.
Yeah, you got. I was mentioning that. I was going to mention that. That yes, you have to imagine that the competitive juices will be flowing. He's hitting 273. So when you talk about, yes, he's not having a great year right now at that with the bat, but
Still early.
still, yeah, it's still just a tad bit early. But you got it right.
That's your brother and what are what's the people of Vicksburg called?
Vic's Burgers.
That's your brother in Vicksburger.
Is it?
Yes.
That's
And
what we're going to go with. Yeah.
Warren Central.
Warren Central High School. Stand up.
Say now, Flash, but he is a Vicksburger.
Yes.
I like that. I didn't know that was the thing.
Yeah, Vic's Burger. And when I say we had 27 home runs 2 seasons ago, 2023, not 2024. But
Seems like he's been around forever.
well, he had some injuries last year. That's the difference. But yeah, and never been a big time average hitter, but he's a masher, as we said. So this is a big opportunity for him. He'll definitely be looking to take advantage of that. This is a team that's already got, they only have 8 home runs in the season, but they got 2 guys with 3. And that the other guy with 3 is Sean Darnell, who's their leading hitter. 542 through 7 games. He's got 13 hits. The only extra base hits he has are his 3 home runs. He's slugging 917 though. It's a good hitting team. Mississippi State will counter with Jacob Pruitt, and that's the guy that, going back into the offseason, the transfer from Indiana State that you and I thought could have a role to play on this team as far as maybe even being a weekend starter. Got an inning or a couple innings against Manhattan last week and wasn't overly impressive. Didn't pitch this past weekend. This is a big opportunity for him. State needs this win. You don't want to go again. I feel like 3-1 is the mark to hit this week. You don't want to put that pressure of having to go over to Houston and play Rice, Oklahoma State, and Arizona and thinking we need all 3 of these games. A midweek game this week would be huge for Mississippi State.
Yeah, you want to stack some, like we said with Southern Miss. It wasn't a host killer. That's not a game that you look back
right
whenever Mississippi State's getting into the hosting conversation or whatever and say, gosh, that game is killing you.
Mm-hmm.
Neither is this one.
Right.
I don't think Troy or Southern Miss are going to be games that kill you and are anchors on your resume at all. I don't think at any point it'll be like that. But it helps you. You want to strengthen you're going to strengthen your non-conference schedule with these games regardless, but you want to strengthen your non-conference RPI by winning these games. And you didn't get that when you get Southern. You do get another opportunity against them, but that's going to be at home. So it takes a little bit of that luster off if you win that. Had you won that on the road, it would look a lot better. And Troy, I think, is going to be a team. Are they going to be top 25 all year? I don't know. There's ebbs and flows. But I feel like this is going to be a team that's going to contend for their conference championship, just like Southern Miss is. So this is a huge early season game. The schedule in non-conference is better than we've seen from Mississippi State since, probably 2021.
And I asked Simonis about that on Monday's show, Robbie, and he kind of sheepishly was like, I didn't exactly plan for that, for them to be as good as they are.
Yeah, well, you plan these non-conference games a lot of times like 3 or 4 years out. Like he talked about that Manhattan series has been scheduled for several years.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was asked, like, what do you think about this Manhattan team? He had no clue because they had a new coach, that they had, some new players. You just didn't really, his first weekend, you didn't really have a lot to go on. He knows this Troy team fairly well because he knows some of these players. Obviously coached Skylar Meade, a guy that he recruited at Louisville. Skylar Meade was, I believe, at South Carolina, if I remember right, the pitching coach, I think, of South Carolina at one point. Really good young coach, a guy that's rising up the ranks. I think a Power 4 coach before it's all said and done. Really good coach. And this Troy team, they feel this is their year. They feel like this is a year they can do some special things. And they're not coming into this game scared. They went to Auburn, and that was a close ball game. It was a slugfest. State, I feel like, has the edge as far as pitching is concerned in this game. They're going to have the stronger bullpen, but they're going to have to come through with some big hits and big situations. They haven't done that at times already this year. When you get guys on base, when you got a guy in scoring position with 1 out, you need to get him home. If you get a guy on third base with 2 outs, get him home. And we've seen some clutch hits from State this year. We've seen them come up empty. They got to get the big hits when they come in this ball game, because Troy is a team that I think they've scored 6 runs or more in every game so far this year. So that's what they do. They like to mash it. They like to hit it. They're going to try to do it in this game. I'm interested to see the chess match that Justin Parker plays. They are very intentional on the scout. They did that with Missouri State when Chris Lemonis was talking about it after these games. They were pitching over the bats. They were trying to pitch over the bats because of the angle that Missouri State took on their swings. This is a pitching coach that's very big on the analytics and big on the scout. I'm very interested to see what he does on kind of a little short notice with Troy and how he pitches them in this ball game. And that includes the guys that he brings out there. How long does Jacob Pruitt get in this game? Does he have a short leash? Do you want to get him some more innings? He didn't pitch at all over the weekend in preparation for this. So he has not pitched in almost a week and a half.
Yeah.
And we haven't got to see him extended. I thought people were a little fast on the judgment with him. He came in the ball game with a big lead. You know, I thought that he was nipping around a little bit, wasn't really attacking. I think it's a little too early to throw him out. I'm interested to see how he does in this game, coming out as a starter and maybe getting a few more innings than what we saw the other day. So I'm really interested to see what he does in this.
Yeah, Pruitt is an interesting case because that's a guy, like we said, we thought could be a weekend rotation guy, especially when he committed to Mississippi State from Indiana. Talking to Chris Lemonis earlier today on Sports Talk Mississippi, he said that he felt good about his bats. You know, last weekend, the cold weather, that affects the bats. This week, he said at Monday's practice, the ball was launching out of Dudy Noble. Supposed to be a high of 68 tomorrow for a 4 o'clock first pitch, so the weather shouldn't be an issue. This should be a high-scoring game. Troy is just a monster at the plate thus far in the season. They're hitting 362 as a team with 18 doubles, 8 home runs, 76 RBI. They've scored a total of 78 runs in 7 games. So they're averaging just over 11 runs per game. Mississippi State's going to have to match that production, and they're going to need some of those bats to show up in this game, especially their big bats. Reese, Sullivan, and Hines need to be, productive in the middle of the order. I'm interested to see how State, and I asked Lemonis about this, about the ongoing position battle. Even though you're into the season, what are you doing at second base? And with Reeves, with Garrick Fry, with Lucas Buckner. Pulliam got the start yesterday, or I guess I should say Sunday, as you're listening, in left field, I believe, or he was in the outfield. I'm not sure left or right, but he's another guy who could maybe factor into that second base position battle as well. Got to try to figure that out as you keep going into the season. But I feel like State's offense, is going to be the key to this one. This is a midweek baseball game, so you expect some runs. Troy is a team that can score. State's going to have to score 7, 8, 9 runs, I think, to win this game.
Yeah, very well could. And I'm very intrigued with how they work with this lineup in the next couple of weeks. It's good to have depth. It's good to have the guys that you do that you can bring in on any given day and start, and you feel like you're not losing much. Garrick Fry, we've hardly seen him at all. And he comes in there and hits a home run on the first pitch he sees and has 2 hits. Ethan Pulliam, we haven't seen much this year. He comes up with a triple in the game. It's nice to have these options, but you do have to kind of narrow it down a little bit now. That you're getting into the point now in the next couple of weeks where you're trying to find, hopefully, your best 9. And you put your best 9 out there more often than not, because you need to start collecting ABs for these guys where they get more and more comfortable with the plate. I don't think it's going to work for Mississippi State where they're constantly changing out the lineup. And Chris Lemonis doesn't really like to do that whenever he gets into SEC season. Mm-hmm. You might see a change here or there, but usually this is when he tinkers with it, and then he gets into SEC play, and you usually see the same core, at least for a little bit, until it's not working and you have to make a change. I think at some point you're going to have to get a solid group together that's getting most of the ABs and that can get comfortable, and you start to kind of build that, kind of gel that group together. That's what we're seeing right now. We're trying to find out who are the guys that can get out there and deliver quality at bats. I think more than anything, that's what Chris Lemonis wants to see. It's not going out there and hitting a bunch of home runs. It's not going out there and hitting a lot of doubles in the gaps. He wants people to go up there when there's a guy on second base and with no outs, ground it over to the right side and get him over to third. Or a guy at third base with less than 2 outs, and you just put it in the outfield somewhere and you bring him home. He wants to see quality at bats. And he said it the other day, it's like guys will go up there and you'll have a really good at bat from someone and then back-to-back really bad ones. And all he needs is just an okay at bat. He just needs somebody to be productive. He needs somebody to run up a pitch count or, get an out that moves a runner. That's what you're looking for right now, is you want to get a 1 through 9 order of guys that are going to give you quality at bats. They're going to work a pitcher's count. That are going to move runners, that are not going to get up there and strike out on 3 pitches. That's what you're looking for here. And this is a good test for that group. I'm intrigued to see what they do with it on Tuesday and then going into the weekend too, because we've seen a new lineup, I think, every single game so far this year.
Mm-hmm. This is such an interesting week for State. This tournament out in Houston, the organizers have got to be kicking themselves. They prior to the start of the season, they had 3 top 25 teams. Now Arizona's dropped out, and this past week, Oklahoma State has dropped out. So State is the lone ranked team. You have Rice, who obviously is kind of the local team, but that's not, that program is not what it was, 2 decades ago when it was one of the best in the country. The other side of the bracket is where the action is. State's there, and then you have the other 2 ranked teams of Texas A&M and Tennessee, 2 of the best teams in the country. Although Texas A&M is an interesting team right now. Their offense has not been as explosive as you would think it would be. And then the news broke today that Graham Kahovic, their star third baseman, is going to be out for the season. That's a big loss. I think Tennessee is playing like they're the best team in the country. They should probably be the number 1 team. Every time I look up, they're hitting a grand slam, it appears, in that ballpark.
We talked about this preseason. Like, I just feel like Texas A&M, we're giving them too much credit.
Agreed.
I think this is going to be a really good team. I think they got one of the more talented rosters in the country, but I think they just gave them way too much credit when Tony Vitello still exists. And that team is going to be just as talented as last year before it's all said and done. They don't have some of the same guys, but I feel like their pitching staff looks to be as strong as it was last year. Liam Dole has really stepped in and looks the part. And then their offense is just absolutely torching everyone. And, I mean, it almost seems like they got the sliders turned up to 99 on offense. Like, the ball comes off the bat different. It feels like those LSU teams back in the day.
I was going to say that. It feels like they're playing gorilla ball once again. But, I mean, that's not the case. The bats aren't the same as they used to be. But everybody on that team can mash. It's just insane. Like I said,
I think I thought that Tennessee, coming in the season, I thought that they were overlooked even where they were. And I still think that people are just giving Texas A&M a little too much credit.
It's crazy how good Tennessee's been the last 3 years that they would be overlooked, and they're the defending national champions. I just don't. I think never mind that A&M, is having some issues thus far coming into the season. I just didn't understand a team with a first-time head coach getting that kind of. I understand they're talented. If you want to rank them in the top 5, top 10, fine.
Number 1, and just
if Schlossnagle was still there, sure. Make them number 1. I get it, but there's just a lot to being a first-time head coach.
And there was, no doubt in these people's minds that they were number 1.
I did 3 separate interviews. I talked to Aaron Fitt and Kendall Rogers from D1, and I talked to Jacob Rudner from Baseball America, and they're all like, oh, no, don't have any concerns whatsoever. We'll see what happens this week.
That's the thing. I think it's still going to be a really good team all year long. To have them the unquestioned number 1 was just always I didn't understand it. But and they're still they've still been good so far. They lost the other day, and I think they're going to have some bumps in the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to imagine that being, wire to wire, one of the best teams in the country. I think they're gonna have some stumbles here and there.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. So, big baseball game at Diddy Noble Field, 4:00 first pitch. You're there?
Yeah,
you will be there. All right. Let's move into the rest of the show. That's brought to you by.
You won't be there again. You'll be abandoning me once again in the press box.
I got to work.
Well, so do I.
But my work is I have to be on the air. I can't be at the stadium. My work and your work are different things.
Just covering games from the couch.
I'm not even covering the game at all. I'll be watching it on TV here in the SuperTalk studio.
Yeah.
You just calm down over there, all right? Let's move into the rest of the show. That's brought to you by our friends over at Two Brothers Smoked Meats in the heart of the Cotton District, the place to find smoked Southern soul food. We love a trip to Two Brothers. Never going to get me or Robbie to say no to that. Or the Older Brother, which is one of Starkville's, I think it's Starkville's best new restaurant. We've had some new restaurants come around. They're all great, but the Older Brother to me stands above the rest. I love a trip to the Older Brother and looking forward to making my next one there very, very soon. If you're in Starkville anytime soon, if you're there this weekend for basketball, you're coming in today for baseball, or whenever you're going to be here, head to the Cotton District and eat at the Older Brother and Two Brothers Smoked Meats. Great products, great service. Every business likes to promise it to you. They deliver it to you at Advantage Business Systems, and they've been doing that for 50 years.
Yeah, brother.
50. So when you need technology for your business, you need to give Advantage Business Systems a call. And then if you need service, it's the same number. It's the same people. They've already talked to you once. You know them. You have that relationship. And it's not, well, we'll be there when we can. It's going to be, we're going to be there as soon as possible. A lot of times they're going to be there the same day. They can do that because they're in Mississippi just like you. Give Advantage Business Systems a call at 601-362-9192, or you can visit them online at absms.com. Find out how Advantage Business Systems will help your business do business. Before that next trip to Starkville, when we told you need to go to Restaurant Tyler or Two Brothers or the Older Brother, before you do that even, you want to walk in the door looking good, you need to head over to Maroon & Co. and grab yourself a new polo, a new pullover, maybe a new hat, whatever it is maroon and white, they've got it at Maroon & Co. And we can save you some money on that purchase as well. Thunder15 is our promo code to save 15% off regular price. Some exclusions do apply. I still have been yet to be told what an exclusion is, though. Nobody has ever tweeted at you or me and said, tried to use your promo code at Maroon & Co. and I couldn't because I bought this.
They're very few. Few and far between.
I haven't seen it. I have personally not seen it. So go check out Maroon & Co., the biggest and best selection of MSU gear in Starkville. State travels to Tuscaloosa, 8 o'clock tip.
Why do they all? It always seems like they play at 8 p.m.
This game, yeah, the game in Tuscaloosa, the game in Starkville was at 8, wasn't it?
It was on a Wednesday.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me, but okay. I absolutely despise 8 p.m. ball games. 8 p.m. basketball games and 7 p.m. baseball games. Hate them.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I don't mind a 7 o'clock Friday baseball game. I don't mind that.
I don't like those either. I just don't like
under the lights. Games. I like that. I don't mind that.
6 o'clock is a sweet spot on Friday.
I like 6 because I get off work at 6. I'd like to be able to have time to get to the stadium and make first pitch. Help me out here. You want me to come cover these games,
You don't even enjoy being up there.
Let me tell you something. You want me to come cover these games, right? You want me to be up there with you?
You don't want to be there.
No, I do.
You don't want to be there.
I do want to be there, but I can't get there when the game starts. I don't like getting there after the game starts. So give me a 7 o'clock first pitch.
You hate me. Admit it. Admit it to everybody right now.
This is an outrage. It's outlandish.
You hate me.
No, I do not. I never have.
That's not true.
All right, that early in our relationship, I wasn't a fan.
You weren't a fan.
Now it's
when I was just a lowly student.
Yeah.
I was just a lowly Mississippi State student.
Who's this smart mouth, snot nosed kid talking to me?
Now I'm a smart mouth adult.
Yes, the snot nosed has gone away. You know,
I don't have a snot nose anymore.
good man. All right, here's
That's my athletic greens. My athletic greens has boosted my immune system.
They're not paying us.
That's a free plug.
They can pay us. We'll be happy.
You would take that in a heartbeat. Don't lie.
I would take their ad money. Absolutely.
Yes. Athletic greens, ladies.
I always look at athletic greens and go, and Conrad's a sponsor, huh? He's a client. I don't know if they're.
I don't believe he is. I don't believe he is. Next time we see him backstage when we're hanging out with Ric Flair,
yeah,
we'll have to ask him about that.
Oh yeah, I drink my athletic greens. I have that and like 3 pancakes and 4 eggs and 8 slices of bacon, and I'm good to go for the rest of the day.
Yeah, he fails to tell everybody about the fried chicken he's eating for lunch.
Oh yeah, he has it with his meal. I want to say this about this game with Mississippi State, Alabama.
Oh, man.
State perfectly capable of winning this game. All right. They only lost to Alabama by 4 here in Starkville in a game where Alabama had a player come out of kind of nowhere to hit 7 3-pointers. Ole Miss went to Tuscaloosa and won that game and pushed Alabama around. Alabama has been really good this year, but I think there's a definite gap between Auburn and Alabama.
Yeah.
Going to Auburn, you got very little chance. Going to Alabama, you have a chance. You can beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, but it's going. I don't think you can count on Hubbard to give you 38 again. You're going to have more balanced scoring, but more importantly than anything else, is State has got to find some sort of defensive intensity. You cannot expect to get into another track meet. One of the reasons you got into a track meet here and were able to stay in it is because you were at home and your crowd is able to carry you at times. That will not be the case. If Alabama starts hitting shots, that crowd will work against you in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, that's the problem is, first of all, the style of play that Alabama plays, it does not bode well for Mississippi State almost every time they play them. It's just they really struggle with that style of play. Mm-hmm. And what they do from the 3-point line, I mean, it just gives you very little faith. But if State does miraculously defend the 3-point line, or Alabama is just ice cold from deep, and this is a team that likes to throw it up. I mean, they're going to throw up a lot of 3-pointers. They're going to have a lot of possessions. If they hold them, my thing, I'm banging the drum on this. If they hold them under 10 3-point makes, State is going to have a chance to win this game. They're going to be in position. 8 threes, 9 threes, State's probably going to be right there, unless State is just absolutely abysmal on the offensive end. And I have a hard time believing that's going to be the case if they've done their job on defense. So it really does boil down to that. And that's been the problem for State is they haven't been able to defend these teams. And that makes things really difficult on your offense because you're having to be precise on the offensive end. Mm-hmm. Can't turn the ball over, and you got to make your shots. Ole Miss turned them over a lot. And that was kind of the difference is they turned them over and they converted that into points.
Ole Miss made Alabama play its way.
Yes.
They did not play Alabama's game at all. They played the Ole Miss game, and Alabama couldn't do it. The problem is this. We are, 27 games into this season, I think, 26 games into this season. What is Mississippi State's style of basketball?
We have no clue this year.
I have no clue what it is.
I thought we were getting there after the A&M game. I thought we were getting to know this Mississippi State team a little better. Mm-hmm. And then it just completely got blown up against Oklahoma. So it's just kind of, I don't even know. I don't even know what to – I think their identity is that they're bad defending the 3-point shot. I think that's an identity.
Well, I mean, in terms of, if I said Mississippi State wants to make Alabama play its game, what is its game?
I don't know what that is. Chris Jans, I think if it's a Chris Jans ball game, if it's a Chris Jans team, it's in-your-face defensively, forcing turnovers, crashing the boards, getting rebounds, offensive rebounds. This team feeds off of that. That's kind of their style of play is slow the pace down with what you do on defense, and then offensively you play it into your hands. And we've seen that in very few ball games. I think we saw it against A&M. I think we saw it against South Carolina in the first game of the year. I think we saw it against Vanderbilt. I think we saw it against Georgia. I didn't think State played poorly in that game. I thought the execution down the stretch was not great.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that they played their style of play in that game. They kind of took Georgia out of what they wanted to do. And I thought State, I didn't think they played poorly in that game. The other games, they've been playing everybody else's style, and they might find a way to get a win, but it's not their way. The Mississippi State way under Chris Jans is they have a 12-point lead, and it feels like 30. That's what I've thought of Mississippi State. I think a LSU game, I think last year, I think it was. And I looked up, and State was up like 52-38 or something.
Yeah, I was at that game.
The whole time I was like, God, I thought this was a 40-point game. Like it never felt like LSU had a chance, like in the second half. And that's what I think about Chris Jans basketball is, you might not be scoring a lot of points, but you're fairly efficient and you're suffocating on the defensive end. And we have just not seen that a lot this year. And I feel like we've talked a lot about how bad State's been in certain areas. This is still a good team. This is a top 25 team. It's just that the way that they're getting some of these wins and the way that they've played in some of the losses, it's kind of frustrating because you feel like there's so much more they could do, and they're just not. They're losing the same way. They're losing to these teams the same way every time. Teams are lighting it up from three. They're struggling to get stops in the defensive end, and that's just not what Mississippi State is under Chris Jans. It's been a team the last 2 years that's been, the defense has been noted, and everybody, when they leave the ball game, is having to put an ice pack on and, tape up the ankle and the wrist and all that. It's just that's what you get when you go to a fight when you play Mississippi State. And at times this year, we just haven't seen that. So that's the kind of game you probably need to play.
Agreed. And we'll see if they can do it against this Alabama team that I'm sorry. That, like we said earlier, they're fighting. They want to be a 1 seed when we get to Selection Sunday. They know that a loss to Mississippi State, although it's a quad 1 loss, would not be what they're looking for. So State, on the other hand, has a chance to make it 2 straight weeks with a massive top 10 quad 1 win, and just absolutely a win in this situation. If you go 2-0 this week, you're probably bumping up a seed line, to be honest with you. You had a chance to do it last week but you couldn't go 2-0. But if you can, the LSU game could be a killer in terms of your seed if you lose it. I think they'll beat LSU. But if they beat Alabama, you're talking about, if you're a 6 this week, you might be a 5. It really is that kind of win for Mississippi State. So we'll see what happens in this game. I think on tomorrow's show, Robbie, we may have to get back to the spirit of the rumblings. Now, when we first started the rumblings, it was, I'm not answering all of these questions. We're going to pick the good ones and go from there. Because we got to do, I got to come back at like 10 o'clock, 10:30, and recap all the sports. You said, I know you're going to be busy.
I'm not going to.
Right.
I've just made the conscious decision in my head.
That's fine.
That I will not do it. I'm worn to a nub.
I want to take this time, and I think you would agree, to give a shout out and a get well soon to our friend Paul Jones, having some issues right now, and that's put a little bit of extra work on your plate, as you can imagine. But we want Paul to get better, get him back up in the press box, and asking us, what that guy said and things like that. We're looking forward to having you back, Paul. We miss you, buddy. Get well soon.
Dropping the one classic one-liners.
Yes, which he is the king of. But that being said, I'll come back tomorrow and I'll recap basketball and baseball in this podcast. But rumblings, you better bring some good heat. I'm not just answering anything, because I don't want to do an hour and 50-minute podcast. That's what that'll end up being.
If it's a bad question that needs to be made fun of, I think it needs to be asked.
That being said, the first question we got to the guy didn't lock his response. He got somebody to answer him. I'm like, you're out, buddy. Just how it goes.
I don't make these rules, but guys, we've had them in place long enough.
You should know.
You got to do it. I even mentioned in the tweet
what you do.
But I get messages every week. People don't know what to do. People will send me messages.
That's on them. All right. It's not our job. That's all we're going to say. So tomorrow's podcast, rumblings, but we'll have a lot of future Brian on that one as well. Talk to you guys tomorrow. For Robbie Faulk, I'm Brian Hadad. Thanks for listening to Thunder and Lightning here on Super Talk, Mississippi.